fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at 3 new figures from the Epic Hero series based on the upcoming X-Men 97 cartoon on Disney+. We have Wolverine, Cyclops, and Marvel's Rogue. I guess they couldn't copyright the name Rogue, but they all look pretty great. They're in the kind of standard open packaging here. You can kind of reach in and touch the figure. Plastic-free packaging, of course. It says there's some epic gear inside, so they all have some accessories. You can see here on the front we have Storm, Cyclops, Wolverine, Rogue, and Gambit. Now we know Storm comes with the X-Jet, which I guess they can't call it the Blackbird anymore. I've always preferred the name Blackbird, but that's neither here nor there. So I'm assuming maybe we'll get Gambit at some point. But there's a really nice group shot over on this side. We have Jean Grey, we have Jubilee, we have Bishop, Morph, Beast. I hope they eventually do all of them. I think they'll all be great. Over here on the back, just kind of some product shots. Wolvie here with some kind of Psylocke-esque accessory. I don't know what's going on with that, but we'll check it out. Really nice, a little bit of artwork there on the side. And then over here for Cyclops, most of this gonna have the same side here, but again, product shots. He comes with this ring pop looking accessory, which I guess fits over his head for the optic blast. And some nice artwork over here on this side. And then we have Rogue. I'm not sure what her accessory is doing, but we'll check it out. The figure looks great. So let's go ahead, let's get all 3 of these out of the packaging here, and we'll take a closer look. Here they are out of the packaging. I think they look pretty great. Nicely scaled with each other. Wolverine is definitely shorter than the other 2, which perfectly tracks for his character. He is a short, stocky guy, and along with that, he has pretty much no neck whatsoever. Just the shoulders go right into the head. But it looks good. Honestly, I think they did a good job with the head sculpt. The paint's nice and sharp. All of the claw designs that he's got going on. The outfit looks great. Nice blue for the shoulder pads. The claws really look nice. I think they did a good job there. Paint for the belt looks nice. The boots look good. I mean, just all around the paint applications of these are pretty great. So he does still have a head swivel side to side. Got the hinge in the shoulder as well as a rotation. Now that's going to be hindered a little bit by the shoulder pads. You can get full out to the side, no problem there, but the front to back is a little hindered. You do have an elbow that can bend and swivel. Nothing in the waist. Kick out to the side pretty far, kick forward pretty far, and then you have a knee joint that can also rotate side to side. So pretty much the standard articulation that we've seen for the Epic Hero series, but they look good. I like them a lot. And I mean, it's the 90s X-Men, so what's not to love? These are absolutely fantastic. Now, he comes with a little effect piece that is kind of supposed to be like him, quickly swiping through the air. I assume that's what's going on. If nothing else, this piece is great for kind of straightening out the claws, because there's kind of molding for the claws that you can kind of push it in. And so if you have, you can see on this one, they're kind of bending a little bit towards each other. So this is great. You just push this in, set them into the piece of plastic, and that'll train them to be far apart from each other. So that works out great. It's an interesting effect piece. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't buy these for the effect pieces. They're neat, and I appreciate that they include something for an accessory, but I just want the figures, and they look good, and I'm happy. So this is kind of a superfluous bonus to me, but it's interesting. You know, he's kind of quickly swiping through the air, so it just clips onto the wrist very simply. But yeah, the figure looks great. I like him very much. With all 3 of these, I don't know, I'm very wary with the knees and the elbow joints. Not because anything's wrong with them, but I always just feel like I'm going to break them. If you try to bend them at the elbow or knee too fast, I feel like there's a potential you could snap something off, so maybe just be careful. It could just be me, being overly cautious, but, kind of make sure you have a hold of both parts when you're using those joints. But overall, yeah, I'm happy with this guy. He looks pretty great. Let's move on now to Cyclops. So he looks good overall, but right off the bat, the first thing that I notice is his underoos are supposed to be yellow. He's got outside underpants like Superman, and they do not paint those here. Again, not a deal breaker, but for me it is noticeable. So that's a little weird. I don't know if that was just missed or what. or maybe something they'll correct in a later wave. But again, not a deal breaker for me personally. And he looks good. I mean, they did a really nice job. Again, the head sculpt looks great. I think that visor really, really looks nice. Head can move side to side. I mean, I'll just be honest with you. All three of these have the exact same articulation. His effect piece is this optic blast like ring piece, and it's a very kind of malleable, soft plastic, so that you can kind of get this over his head, so that it can look like he's firing the optic blast. I'll be honest, it looks kind of goofy because his powers don't put a ring around the side and back of his head. I understand what they're going for, and I appreciate that, but it looks a little silly to me. I don't really know how you do it better, though, to be fair. The first thing that I thought of is maybe some kind of like small peg hole in the visor, and then you could just peg this in the front. But then when you're not using it, he'd always have a peg hole in the visor, and that wouldn't look good, so I understand why they didn't go that route. Like I said, I don't really know how you'd do it better, but I don't specifically care. Maybe if there was some way to just kind of clip it onto the front so that you didn't have the band all the way around, so it was just kind of like that much. And I don't know how it would stay, but if you could friction it on so that it would just clip on, I think that would probably be the best option. But again, I'm not in these for the effect pieces. I just love the figures, and all of the paint applications are really sharp. And to do yellow on top of blue plastic is difficult because you're doing a light color on top of a darker color. So they really had to make sure that they put enough coats of paint so that it stayed yellow. And they did. And I think it looks good. With the exception of forgetting to paint his underoos. Really nice job with this guy. I really, really like him quite a bit. But I have to be honest, my absolute favorite of the three is Rogue. She came out really fantastically. They did a nice job. I think the head sculpt looks good. The hair is nicely done. You actually get a head rotation even with the hair. It's not like, you know, a lot, but I mean, pretty much as the other characters. I think the jacket looks good. You know, they have all the yellow and green paint, which again, doing yellow paint on green plastic can be difficult. The boots, I think, came out great. Again, just be a little careful with those elbow and knee joints, but you can see how, you know, the boots have that kind of high kneecap piece there. She just looks great. I think they did a really nice job. I really like the job they did here, and it's awesome. Plus, I don't really have a 4-inch Rogue in my collection, so I'm really happy to have that. So I just absolutely love what they did with her. She looks fantastic. Her effect piece is this thing, and I'm not 100% sure what this is supposed to be. If I had to guess, maybe if she's like absorbing someone's mutant powers, and this is supposed to be like the currents of energy, you know, traveling up her arm. That's the most that I can guess, because that's almost kind of what it looks like. That's just my guess. Because, I mean, normally she has, you know, the flight and the super strength that she stole from, I think, according to the show, Ms. Marvel. Not that Ms. Marvel. The old Ms. Marvel. Not the one with the stretchy powers. So that's where she got her flight and super strength. But her mutant power is to absorb powers. So I'm assuming that's what this is. Just my guess. But again, you know, the figures are fantastic. The effect pieces don't bum me out because I don't need them. Happy to have them, but at the end of the day, these are 3 really solid figures, and I'm really, really happy that these got put out. Now I want to do some comparisons with the 3 3/4-inch retro stuff that they did to the Kenner line previously. So let's do some comparisons there. So first up, we have our Wolverines. These are the 2 versions of Wolverine they gave us in the 3 3/4-inch retro Kenner line. And these are good, but I really do think this guy looks better. Just his proportions are a little better. He's not as, like, barrel-chested as these guys are. I feel like his chest proportions are a little better. I love the way they did his shoulder pads. I think those look fantastic. Boots on all these look pretty good. His claws are a little longer, which I think looks better, and he's got the kind of more screen-accurate belt. Whereas with this costume, I feel like this big belt buckle is correct for this suit, but it's not necessarily correct for this suit. But because they knew they were going to repaint it, it's, you know, kind of half correct over here, half correct over here kind of a situation. And I believe these are supposed to be painted black, the same as these, but they just didn't do it. But we don't see him in this costume in that original animated series. He's always in the yellow and blue costume. But just wanted to do the comparisons. Like I said, I think the proportions on this guy are a little better. I really do like the way he looks, but I at least wanted to show him off here with the two Kenner versions. So since Wolverine is a smaller character, he was pretty much in scale with the Kenner versions. You can see here that Cyclops is a little taller, not much, about 1/4 of an inch as you'd expect. And they both look good. Honestly, I love both of these costumes. They're two different costumes for Cyclops, and they both really work. I'll always have a soft spot for this one because, you know, I'm a kid of the 90s and 80s, and so this was the X-Men cartoon I watched all the time as a kid. But I still really like this one from the comics. I think this is a really great suit as well. They're both blue and yellow, so they're not so ridiculously different. I love the giant pirate boots over here on this guy, but yeah, these go pretty well. So whichever, you know, version of Cyclops' costume you'd like to use, two excellent representations here. Now, like I said, I don't have a previous version of Rogue, but I thought it would be fun to just use these Phoenix figures. And honestly, they scale pretty well. I really didn't think that they would be the same size. So Rogue must be taller than Wolverine, but like a little bit shorter than Cyclops. Just to bring Wolverine back in here for scale. And then we'll put Cyclops directly behind her. So it is kind of nice. They're not all just, you know, 4 inches across the board. They're actually kind of scaling with each other, which is pretty cool. And she works well with these two Phoenix figures. I think they actually are pretty much about the same size. So it will be fun to kind of blend the Kenner Retro line with these Epic Hero Series figures and kind of fill out the roster a little bit because these really do scale pretty well together. Now, obviously, these figures are going to have more articulation, but if you're just doing a display, I mean, that's going to look pretty good. And then also here she is with the Storm from the Retro Kenner line. Obviously not the costume she wore in the cartoon. But honestly, at this point, I think Storm might be a little bit bigger just because her hair is big. But yeah, these two could work together pretty well. And here they are against the Master of Magnetism himself, Magneto. This is also from the Retro Kenner line. We haven't been getting very many villains in the Epic Hero series. I'm hoping that's something that changes as the line progresses. But again, we can use some of these Kenner figures to kind of stand in. They scale pretty well. I would say he's a little bit shorter. But honestly, you know, in a pinch, this could still work for a pretty good display. And again, supplementing some of the other Kenner 3 3/4 inch figures, I just wanted to show you can kind of start to build the team a little bit. Definitely excited for the prospect of more X-Men in the Epic Hero series, but at least we can still kind of fill out the roster a little bit with what we already have. I think the 3 of these came out pretty great. I'm really happy with them, and I'm definitely excited to get some more for this line. The only thing that I would point to is the fact that, you know, Cyclops' little underoos there should be yellow. Again, not a major deal breaker, but definitely something that's not quite right. Other than that, they're pretty great. Great articulation, great paint applications. The accessories they come with, you know, they're not the best, they're not the worst. They don't really do it for me personally, but again, that's not why I'm picking these figures up. I'm picking them up for the figures themselves, and the little effect pieces are just kind of bonuses, so it doesn't really matter to me that they're not that great. I mean, they're okay, but I love the figures, and that's why I'm picking these up, and I definitely suggest you do the same if you're into 4-inch X-Men action figures. These are pretty great, very affordable. I think they're like $10.99 a piece. I found them on Amazon. Some people have started finding them in Target stores, but it might be a little bit longer because I know Target's kind of in the middle of clearancing out stuff to do their aisle refreshes, so they might not see wide release at like Target's until that's done, which could be later in August. So if you're looking for these now, definitely check Amazon. But yeah, they're great. I love them. Very, very happy with them and cannot wait for more. So please let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.